So we're going to talk about the most basic units of geometry in this lecture, points, lines, and planes, and all the different parts of things that we can take from lines, like segments and rays, and what defines them, and how do we name them, and how do we name them symbolically? How do we write them out symbolically? The most basic unit you've got is called a point. Not surprisingly, it's just a location in space with no size. We're going to name all things in this lecture with capital letters. We're going to stick with capital letters for most of the course, but that would be point A. Simple as that. Point B. If we name a point, we put a point there, or try to do a point. There, that looks a little better. Or point B or point C. Not a huge call to name points, individual points, that is. Usually we start worrying about naming points when we start talking about things like lines, which is a straight arrangement of points that extend forever and ever in opposite directions. So it's infinitely long arrangement of points. Well, you can name this line using any 2 points on the line. So I could name that line above as the line containing the points A and B, and you're going to put a line over the top. You could name them with points A and C, because there's an infinite number of lines that go through point A. There's an infinite number of lines that go through point C, but there's only one that goes through both of them. Or you can name it BC. What's important is the points are on the line and you use the line over the top. That's what's kind of key, right? Always 2 letters, always capital letters. And the symbol over the top is what it is, tells you what it is. And you'll see why that's important later on as we get deeper into this lecture. And then a plane is just kind of where all this stuff is going to live. It's an infinitely flat surface with no, that goes forever and ever in all directions. Imagine a flat piece of paper that extends forever and ever in each direction. Not a lot of call to name planes. More important than you can name a line. Right? So we shorten this a little bit and we say, okay, well, we've got line AC. I'm going to hack the arrows off, so it's now no longer a full line, but rather it's a segment of a line or a finite section of that line. And it does not go on forever and ever. It is something you can measure and get the length of, but it's the section of the line contained between 2 points on that line. That's how we name them. We name them using the endpoints. Right? So if I wanted to name the section of the line that goes between points A and B, which is this section right here, right? I could say that that's line segment AB, right? If I wanted to name the part of the line that goes between points B and C, I could say it's segment BC. These are different segments. Right? These are different segments. Or right? The entire segment from A to C, even though it contains B, we don't care about that. We want the part of the line that contains A to C. These are 3 different line segments. If we go back and look at these 3 different names on the line, these are 3 different names for the same line. These are not different lines. That's one line named 3 different ways. These 3 names are 3 different line segments because they talk about different parts of the line. Okay. So, and you just put a segment over the top. Don't try to put dots. Some people try to put dots to indicate segments, and if you don't do it neatly enough, it might look like an arrow. So don't do that. Just put a line, and that's fine. And then lastly, say we wanted to talk about the line, part of the line that starts at A and goes forever and ever to the right. That's called a ray, just like you have when you have a ray of light. Right? Take a laser pointer or a flashlight and you turn it on. It's going to extend. The light's going to extend forever and ever in one direction, and not go behind you, not go on the outside, the other side of the flashlight or the laser pointer, or whatever it is. Okay? Now this requires you to be the most specific with your naming. So, for example, if I wanted to name this the part of the line that starts at A and goes through, goes to the right forever and ever in this figure here, I would say, all right, I'm going to start with A. That's where you start. And then where does it go? Well, it goes through point B forever and ever and ever. And how do I indicate that it goes forever and ever and ever? I put the arrow over the top. I could also name that same part of the line that starts at A and goes forever to the right as AC. These are two different ways. This is the same ray, right? Because it starts at the same point and goes in the same direction. Right? The first letter is where you start, and the second letter just determines the direction. If I wanted to name a different ray, I could either say it's going to start at a different point, BC. That's another ray that's going to the right forever and ever and ever, but it's starting at a different point. Or I could also change the direction, which I couldn't do when I was starting from A. These are two different rays, same starting point, but different direction, right? So these are different rays because the direction that they're traveling is different. So the order of the points determines the direction, not this thing over the top. The thing over the top only tells you that you're dealing with the ray. It does not tell you which direction it is, or which direction it's traveling. So the line is the most general. You pick any two. The line segment is a little bit more specific in how you name it because you have to use the endpoints of the section you're talking about. And then the ray is the most specific because you need to talk about your starting point and the direction through which you're going. Okay? Because the things over the top are kind of important, right? If I ask you to name any of those three things that we just went over, you can't take this figure and say, oh, AB, and not put anything over the top of it because I don't know whether you're talking about line AB, line segment AB, or ray AB, because all of those things exist on this picture, on this slide. They're three different ideas: a line, a segment, and a ray. This is not naming three different lines. This is naming three different things that exist on that line. Okay? So the details are important. I should be seeing capital letters. I should be seeing the correct capital letters, and I should be seeing the correct thing over the correct symbol over the top if you really want to communicate, I understand this stuff. Right? If I don't see those things, it's going to call into question, maybe they do or maybe they don't understand it. Not sure. Right? You don't want me saying, not sure. Right? You want me knowing one way or the other. Okay? And then the last bit of vocab is a pretty straightforward thing. So if you take these 3 points here, points A, B, and C, obviously they are all on the same line while point D is standing kind of off by itself. Colinear points are any points that lie on the same line. A, B, and C are colinear because you can run a straight line through them. Right? There's no way you're going to get A, B, C, and D all on the same line. Right? They are, however, coplanar because they all exist. Wow, that was supposed to be an A. Let's try that again. A, B, C, and D. Right? They all exist on the same plane because there they are on that same flat surface. Okay? So to recap, we've got lines, we've got line segments, and we've got rays. And how we name those is we're going to use capital letters always. Depending on what we're naming, that determines which points we have to use or which points we're allowed to use, and then the symbol over the top depends on what we're trying to name. Okay? We're going to get lots of practice on naming these and classifying these in class, but if you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope this helped.